What's going on, everybody? It's Wednesday night, October 5th, 2022, celebrating the third anniversary of AEW Dynamite. I'm Tanner Lee, the reigning KOP predictions champion. I'm back this week after taking a 1 week hiatus. Shout out to my co-hosts, Paul Zartman and Austin Shepard, for holding down the fort last week while I was out of action, but I'm back, ready to rock tonight, ready to review another great episode of AEW Dynamite. Paul will be joining me here shortly. He's having some technical difficulties. Austin will not be joining us tonight, so it'll just be the original two of the KOP, of the Kicking Out podcast, I should say, about Kicking Out predictions. See, I just got the title on my mind. Tonight. Myself and Paul will be holding it down tonight. Can't wait to recap and review Dynamite with Paul. But before he gets on, I want to take an opportunity to promote an interview I just did last night on the podcast. It will be coming up hopefully tomorrow on October 6th. If not, look for it on Friday, October 7th. Either way, it's going to be up in the next few days. I had a pleasure of speaking with, here comes Paul right now. There he is.
My flight got delayed.
Well, I told him he had technical difficulties, so.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, my flight got delayed. It was, it was the computer's fault.
Well, at least you weren't fighting anybody backstage. So.
Not tonight. Not tonight.
No tweets fired to start a backstage altercation out of you tonight. So.
No, maybe next week, but
I was just telling everybody to be on the lookout either tomorrow or Friday, either way, October 6th or 7th, either way, for the interview I did last night with Keith Elliott Greenberg, author of Follow the Buzzards, Pro Wrestling in the Age of COVID-19. Is the sequel from the book that came out, I want to say last year, if not in 2020, Too Sweet Inside the Indie Wrestling Revolution.
Yes.
Fantastic book. I got this over the weekend, read it in 2 days, interviewed him last night. We talked about the book. We talked about all sorts of things pro wrestling, from way back in the day and the history of pro wrestling to the modern day product. Very fun conversation with Keith. So be on the lookout for that. That will drop hopefully tomorrow, if not tomorrow, on Friday on YouTube, on our Twitter page, Facebook, Instagram. So follow Kicking Out Podcast at Kicking Out Pod if you aren't already, and subscribe and hit that notification bell on YouTube. We're really trying to pump our YouTube channel, so please do so.
Stealing all my lines, man. What am I supposed to say at the end of the show now?
I already gave you and Shep some kudos for holding down the fort last week while the reigning KOP champion took a 1 week hiatus. So I'm back. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to pick up where I left off.
Don't let him fool you. He was suspended last week because he said some things about some members of the podcast that we just couldn't allow. So he got suspended.
Hey, that or putting in the SRS intro the week before, whatever it may be. But
shots fired. You were suspended. End of story.
Hey, I can't say I'm the reigning defending because I haven't defended the title yet.
No.
I kind of wanted to do it a battle for the belts, but it doesn't help when they don't announce any matches until tonight. So couldn't really do that. And really, those events, while we're speaking of battle of the belts, I just kind of find them lame. I'm sorry. I thought when they brought up the idea earlier this year, I thought they were going to be really cool. And we're on the 4th edition, and I don't know. I just don't feel like there's anything special to them.
No, especially not when we're going from Rampage right into Battle of the Belts.
Yeah, it's going to be a late night.
Yeah.
I really wish they'd figure out the scheduling better. Even Rampage in general. I'm still not a fan of the time slot on Fridays, but it's just hard for people to attend a show live and stay for Dynamite and then Rampage right after that.
Been there, done that. It was a very long night.
Well, you did Dark and Dynamite, right?
The first time we went, year one, I did Dark and Dynamite. Last year was Rampage afterwards.
I don't think they did Rampage afterwards.
There was a match or two afterwards, at least, wasn't there?
I don't think so because I
Oh,
think
okay.
they had CM Punk and they did the thing with Cancer Survivor and Cody
That's what it
and
was.
Punk in the ring. And now
That's
this
what it
year I
was.
did see because tickets go on sale for Indianapolis pre-sale tomorrow. Tickets go on sale to Gender Republic on Friday. I did see it is Dynamite and Rampage this year.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah. Well, okay. You were home before I left last year because I stuck around and got my picture taken with a former AEW star.
Cody Rhodes, we could say him. I talked about him a bunch last night on the interview. We can say Cody Rhodes.
Former. I just, I'm yeah. As a Cody fan, that's a whole nother thing.
Hey, one thing I will say about Cody: when Cody was there, fights weren't happening backstage. You know, we'll get into tonight's show. Tonight's show was good. Another good show they're pumping out, but I don't know about you, but I'm sick of getting on Twitter every week with AEW and seeing drama and fights. It's getting ridiculous, and I loved Moxie's
Yeah,
line tonight because Tony's got to start laying the hammer down. It's time. It's getting
he
ridiculous.
does. He does. And I've got questions as we work through the show for you that I text you one of them just so you had some time to think about
Right.
it. But I don't know. I'm starting to get a little concerned. And not one of those, oh, this is bad news for AEW guys type of concerned. But if the roster keeps fighting amongst themselves and Tony doesn't do anything, nobody's going to want to work at AEW anymore.
Right. It will turn toxic pretty fast, and
Yeah.
they need to tighten the screws while they still can before it's too late. And I don't think they're in trouble. I mean, I don't see AEW
No.
going out of business next year or two, anything like that.
No.
But like you said, these are things they do need to clean up. One thing I want to ask you about that situation real quick before we dive into Dynamite is, so the report came out today, Guevara and Andrade, they had Twitter beef the other day. They supposedly got into backstage altercation. Andrade was sent home from tonight's event and the Rampage, well, he was going to be on live on Rampage on Friday night. Not happening now against Preston Ten Vance. But Sammy didn't go home. And he didn't get sent home. So we don't know all the details. So he was in the main event tonight. If you were Tony Khan, there's a rumor that a lot of people that WWE put out feelers to, and some people are unhappy. Would you just straight up say, anybody who wants their release, you can ask for it and get granted right now, but after this certain date, no more releases? Or would you make them stick it out? Because, like, Andrade's a rumored one that kind of wants out. Malachi Black, of course, that whole situation's messy.
Yeah. Do you see his Instagram video earlier this week
Yes.
where he, ripped apart every possible dirt sheet?
Yes.
I mean, part of me says, yeah, that's the thing to do is just say, all right, guys, look, we've worked well together. I don't want to lose you, but if you're unhappy, if you want to go to WWE now that Triple H is running it, if you want to go to Impact, if you want to go strictly to New Japan, if you want to go back to the Indies, if you don't want to be here anymore, come talk to me. You've got until November 8th. I use that because that's election day here in Indiana. Just a date, pick a date and say you've got until this day. If we haven't had any communication about a possible release by this day, then you're stuck here until your contract's over.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get, the old philosophy of, no, you got to honor your contract, or doing a no compete so they can't jump to the competition. But at the same time, I mean, we all ripped on WWE for not giving people their releases when they wanted them. So
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a tricky situation. It's a business, but
it
I
is.
feel
It
like,
is.
if it's going to cause backstage altercations and issues, then maybe it's good to cut ties with those, the talent that doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So even if they are talented.
Right.
So, well, any more thoughts, or do you want to jump right into the show?
Well, I honestly, this isn't necessarily per the release thing, but eventually you've got to realize that you're the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sammy, this is what, 3 backstage altercations now?
Yeah,
At least 2.
Yeah, Kingston. Well, 2 recently, Kingston and now Andrade. Yeah.
I mean, is Sammy the problem?
Well, I'll put it this way: Sammy 2 years ago, maybe even a good portion of last year, was one of my favorite acts in the whole company.
Yeah.
I thought he was phenomenal. I thought, he was one of the 4 pillars. He was rising to what I thought was going to be superstardom. This year, nah, he is. Did you realize he's 29, Paul? I thought he was like 25.
I did not realize
Sammy
he was
Guevara
29.
is 29, which even puts his actions even more. I always wanted to give him benefit of the doubt being a kid. You're 29, you're going to be 30 soon. You're not a kid.
No.
Grow up.
Yeah.
Grow up. Do your job.
So one final question regarding Sammy, and I'll try not to get into a Shep situation where we spend half an hour down this rabbit hole.
That's fun.
Do you think Ty's part of the problem? Because his attitude really changed when they started dating, and then as they got more serious, he got worse.
I honestly think he just cares about his vlog. And his vlog is very highly rated, not even just in the wrestling world, but just overall for vlogs in general. I mean, he gets tons of views. I mean, look at the titles of his vlogs the last few weeks. I'm gonna get on YouTube real quick just so I don't misquote anything here.
Butcher them.
Yes. I mean, a lot of them are just. Let's see.
I mean, you've got less and less members of the quote unquote vlog crew.
Right. I mean, Sammy's vlogs. Let's see here. This week's was titled "Let's Talk."
Yeah.
Last week's was what's like backstage at Grand Slam. Okay, that's fine. Is this the end? 2 weeks ago. It's time to tell the truth. 3 weeks ago. Fight backstage. All out vlog. He's titling them to get clicks, to get attention. And, until today, until that report from Fightful Select came out about the backstage altercation, I wasn't so sure it wasn't a work. We were getting worked on Twitter, some beef between Sammy and Andrade just trying to stir some stuff, which would have been stupid, to be honest, anyways. But that's the day we live in with social media. I can't always tell what's a work and what's a shoot. So.
Right.
But, she could be the problem, Paul. She could be. I don't know.
I miss Pam.
he needs to learn. But yet, we'll get into it in the main event. He seems to do a lot of things, and Tony still gives him TV time. So I don't understand that, man. Like I said, we don't know the full details exactly what happened. We're just saying
from what we know,
what we've read, what's been reported. So we are not wrestling journalists by any means.
No, and we're never going to claim that what we say is 100% truth. This is our opinions, our thoughts.
We are fans podcasting to other fans. So
yes.
All right, here we go. AEW Dynamite, October 5th, the 3-year anniversary special. Hard to believe Dynamite's been around for 3 years already.
I know.
We started off with Maxwell Jacob Friedman's music hitting. Got a pretty good pop from the crowd. I was excited because I'm like, this is finally first time we've seen MJF in ring action since Double or Nothing.
129 days, they said.
Yes, and we even in a normal year when he's on television more than he has been this year in 2022, we still don't see him wrestle more than 5, 6, 7 matches. But when he does, they're spectacular.
They are.
Tonight's was no different. He faced Wheeler Yuta. Kind of finishing off the little mini feud they've had in the last few weeks. Good match, fun match. What I like about watching MJF is just his in-ring tactics, not only his in-ring work, but his heel tactics. I was telling my girlfriend tonight, she asked what MJF stood for. I told her Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I said, he is the best. I just use the term bad guy because she doesn't understand babyface and heels. So I said, in my opinion, he's the best bad guy in all of wrestling. She said, really? All of wrestling? I said, yep. Any promotion, I think he is the best. Fans want to cheer him because he's just entertaining, but they also know that he's a jerk. So,
reminds me of The Rock.
Reminds me of Piper, to be honest.
And Piper, yeah, The Rock, Piper, and even Austin a little bit.
Yep.
Kind of just those three mashed together. You want to hate him, but you want to cheer him because what he says is true.
Yep. Towards the end of the match, Yuta tried to hammer and Inville elbows down on MJF, but MJF reversed it to lock in the Salt of the Earth submission. Wheeler tried to get near the ropes, but MJF dragged him to the middle of the ropes. That was it. Yuta ended up tapping out. After the match, Yuta looked to shake MJF's hand to show respect, but out of nowhere, Lee Moriarty jumped Yuta from behind. MJF pushed him away, though, and told him he didn't tell him to do that. Stokely Hathaway, Shep's favorite, appears to hand MJF the Dynamite Diamond ring, only for William Regal to appear, put the brass knucks on, crowd going nuts, and he stares down MJF, who backs away, as does Moriarty and Stokely Hathaway. So I liked seeing Regal get the old brass knucks back on.
Oh yeah, man, I got cold chills when I saw those. He stood up and started looking, and I went, "Okay, Regal, you're not to be mean. You're past your prime. MJF's just entering his prime, dude. Don't do this." And then he reached in the pocket, and I knew exactly what he was doing.
I wouldn't want to mess with Regal. And
No.
Speaking of William Regal, Keith Elliott Greenberg had a lot of good things to say about William Regal. Keith is over in the UK right now on his book tour, and he did a few Q&A events with William Regal earlier this week. So,
yeah, Regal's definitely on my bucket list of celebrities to meet.
yeah, I mean, he's been such a huge addition to AEW for sure. We then see the JAS, Jericho Appreciation Society, shown backstage. They all take a shot at Daniel Garcia, with Sammy Guevara getting huge heat. The crowd booed him big time when he came on screen.
You know, they put him in the back. He kept getting behind other guys. I almost thought Tony said, "Look, I'm going to keep you in the main event because it's been advertised for a week, but you're not going to talk." And really, he didn't. He, basically had 2 lines, and that was it, which for Sammy's different. So I think some of that was TK saying, "Look, I can't take you out of the main event this week, but you're not going to get a whole lot of TV time."
Yeah, definitely could be. I don't know. I'm interested to see what else comes out from that backstage report.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people on Twitter were unhappy, and supposedly, according to Fightful Select, some talent weren't happy backstage that Guevara didn't get sent home. So,
yeah, showing a little bit of favoritism there if you're not careful.
We shall see. Then we got another really good match, Jay Lethal versus Darby Allin. I forgot this was advertised for this week until it came up, and I'm like, oh yeah, they did talk about that last week. I actually wasn't sure who was going to win this match. I mean, we've seen Lethal pull off some upset wins in the past, but we've seen Darby have a lot of losses.
How is the man walking after what he did this week?
What, jumping off that waterfall?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I know it's into water, but still, that's a long fall.
Yeah, that's big time impact. I don't know how Darby walks after he does a lot of things.
Yeah, I know. My mom was watching it with me tonight, and I told her, he came out. I said, "This is a guy who's going to kill himself," and I don't mean like purposely.
Right. No, he's something else. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the match, Lethal's looking for the lethal injection, but Darby reversed it and hits the code red for a near fall. Satnam Singh and Sanjay Dutt appear, which distracts Darby while he's trying to set up the coffin drop. Lethal pulls him down. However, Lethal tells his friends he'll do it alone. Darby charges in. They exchange pinfall attempts until Darby sets in the Last Supper for a sneaked victory. After the match, Darby's telling Jay Lethal he doesn't need his partners, looks for a handshake, and after a little shoving, Jay Lethal accepts the handshake and walks past Satnam Singh and Sanjay Dutt.
Two matches with 2 attempts of the Code of Honor.
Yeah.
One successful, one,
Yep. Bringing the ROH presence over to AEW a little bit. I like it.
Yep, I do too.
Then we got a match that I was really intrigued going into the night because we hadn't seen Brian Cage on Dynamite in God knows how long. He was answering the Wardlow's open challenge for the TNT Championship, and Brian Cage was also with him at ringside. Was Prince Nana, I should say, and this match over-delivered in my opinion. I mean, these big guys showed that they are just phenomenal athletes.
Yeah.
This is how you redeem yourself, Brian Cage. You know,
Yes.
this is taking advantage of your minutes. You were given a pretty good lengthy match tonight, and Twitter was loving it. And I mean,
Yeah.
Wardlow always delivers, but Brian Cage delivered, and I'm saying, please, Tony Khan, give us some more Brian Cage.
Yeah, and he's got a new faction that he's a part of, and I didn't catch the one guy's name, but the Samoan that came out reminded me a lot of Umaga.
Well, yeah, it's the Gates of Agony is the stable name.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the individuals though, off the top of my head. You know, they were supposed to be with Tully Blanchard before his departure from the company. So
his departure from TV, his departure from wrestling. I mean, like the man has disappeared basically.
Yeah, I think AEW just pretty much decided not to use him anymore. Which, speaking of not using, I saw this week. I was wondering where Lambert and America's Top Team has been. Lambert pretty much took himself off of TV, telling Tony Khan he felt like the act was getting stale. So
I'm glad he realized that.
Yeah, he pretty much did everybody a service, and maybe he'll be back someday. But for now, he realized, okay, this has kind of run its course. I'm not going to take up anybody's time anymore. So
yeah, I thought that's okay. Yeah. That's a pretty respectful move on his behalf.
Yeah, well, he's a big wrestling fan, so.
Well, yeah.
So I mean, you know, sometimes fans get into business and they don't really know how to. For instance, Cain Velasquez, WWE. You know, talk about a guy who was a one-clip wonder. Everybody saw him do that Hurricanrana arm drag move in AAA, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, this guy's the best!" And WWE signs him and has him debut in the Fox debut when Brock beat Kofi like in 10 seconds, and then he had the match over in Saudi and he was awful, and then they released him and yada yada yada. Anyways, I'm just saying, it's sometimes you get a fan of professional wrestling comes in and they're just lost. I think Lambert knew what he was doing, understood the business, but it just got stale. So as a fan, he goes, "Okay, now it's time to get out."
Kind of like if somebody decided to sign Superhuman just because, you know, he can do things Mick Foley did.
Right. So,
and I hope you know who I'm talking about. There.
I do.
Yep. Okay.
I do. Exactly. We saw Wardlow defend his title successfully tonight. Hit a Powerbomb Symphony.
Which was impressive with how big Cage is.
He hit four of them to get the win. After the match, Gates of Agony hit the ring, start attacking Cage. Predictably, Samoa Joe hits the ring, starts going nuts. Crowd's going nuts, but the numbers game catches up to him. And then FTR appears. Huge pop. And the Assembly quickly backs down and walks away. But we're going to get a big tag match Friday night between all those individuals.
It'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be good.
Like I tweeted on our account, Wardlow, Samoa Joe, and FTR, yes, and yes.
Exactly. I want to see FTR in just regular tag action, but I don't mind what they're doing here because you've got Samoa Joe, who's ROH talent. You've got FTR, who are champions in ROH for the tag team.
Right.
So you're showcasing ROH by doing that. And so I'm okay with it as long as it doesn't become like a constant FTR is just always with somebody else and not in a regular tag match.
Right. I mean, because they're still one of the hottest acts you got, and I feel like Tony's cooled them off a little bit by not giving them a lot of TV time, at least on Dynamite, a lot of matches.
Maybe there's a slight injury we don't know about.
I mean, they just had. I haven't seen the match. I don't know if I don't think it's out yet, actually. But they just had a match with. Oh my gosh, help me out here, Paul. I'm blanking on Will Ospreay's faction's name. United Empire. They just had a tag match with United Empire where they successfully defended the New Japan titles, and some people are calling it the greatest tag match they've ever seen. So, yeah, and WWE sent feelers out to FTR about if they'd be interested when their contracts are up, which I think they're up next year sometime. Yeah. So, we'll see. I mean,
I hope the response.
Got to keep you guys happy.
I kind of hope their response was hashtag FTR, but you know, For the old school BTE guys, you'll get that reference. But we'll see what happens.
And we'll see what happens to BTE too. We'll see if it ever comes back or if they just stop.
When the suspension's over.
Well, Nick Jackson on Matt Jackson, excuse me, on the Instagram story the other day when he was thanking the fans for buying their shoes. He said we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
So
sold out quick too.
No surprise there.
No, those were too expensive for my taste, though.
They I don't think I could pull them off. It's just a different design than these shoes I have, so I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think. I don't know. They just weren't really my style. Cool shoes, but they weren't really my style, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but I'd wear them. They just look terrible on me, type of
fair
thing.
Fair enough. Good way to put it. We then got a big women's tag match. Toni Storm, Willow, and Nightingale, and Athena versus Jamie Hayter, Penelope Ford, and Serena Deeb. We saw Britt Baker shown backstage claiming that Saraya is not medically cleared to compete, so she guesses that makes things her house now. I was surprised by the result of this match. And
I was too.
Willow Nightingale. I want to say Willow Nightingale. William Regal earlier. It's just getting all twisted in my mouth here.
Nightingale.
Yeah, Willow got the win after she drop kicked. Who'd she drop kick here?
Penelope Ford, I think.
Penelope Ford, yeah, and then she hit the Doctor Bomb for the win. This is a talent Tony needs to sign ASAP. We've seen enough of her.
Yeah.
Sign her up for your women's division.
I mean, I'll loan Tony the pen right now. Draw it up. She can use my pen to sign it. Let's do this.
Speaking of talent signed, Bandito, we learned today, has signed a full-time contract. Awesome. Great match last week with Jericho, by the way. I wasn't on the podcast, so I didn't get to voice my opinion on that, but loved it. Thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, and if he can put on a match with Jericho, just wait till he gets some of that younger talent with him.
And I can honestly make a case for Jericho being up there for wrestler of 2022. So.
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong.
But I know what you meant. Athleticism-wise, I know what you meant. So. After the match, Britt Baker gets in the face of Saraya, but Saraya nails her with a punch, and Britt Baker and Saraya start getting physical. Britt escapes, but gets left with Rebel. Saraya super kick Saraya, not Raya, Saraya, right? No,
Saraya.
Saraya. Okay, Saraya. Yeah, I gotta get.
Yeah,
Saraya super kicked her, so she's obviously cleared, Paul.
Yeah. Hey, don't worry. Last week I kept wanting to call her Sierra, and I'm like, no, wait, that was Serena over there.
Yeah. Well, everybody botched it the first week when she made her debut at Grand Slam. Excalibur said it wrong, and everybody did. So.
Yeah, but he quickly, I think somebody yelled in his ear or something because he got it changed pretty quickly. Okay. He only said it wrong like once, maybe twice, and then it was on to Saraya.
Yeah, see.
Now you got me doing it.
It's easy to do. Next, the acclaim.
Page.
The acclaim come out with Daddy Ass because it's National Scissoring Day. They hit the ring. Crowds go nuts. Probably the pop of the night. They're talking about they're the most popular team in AEW history, the best homegrown team in AEW history. They revealed that their new T-shirt is the #1 selling shirt in 2022. Bowen says they brought home gold, so AEW doesn't stand for All Elite Wrestling. It stands for Acclaimed every Wednesday. It takes some shots at Swerve and Keith Lee, calling Swerve sneaky. Yeah, calling Swerve sneaky. Then Max Caster was talking about greatness. Mrs. Washington, then Redskins win the Super Bowl, and his dad was on that team nearly 40 years ago. He says all people agree they love that claim. There's no left and right, and no red or blue. They wear pink, and they are the people's choice and voice. They're doing the first ever bipartisan scissor to unite the country, but before they hit, Swerve's music hits just perfectly like it always does. Say what you want about Swerve, but I think he's a fantastic heel. And I honestly think the guy's going to be AEW World Champion within the next 2 years. That's a hot take prediction by me.
All right. We'll come back October 5th of 2024 and see if he's champ.
Yep, within 2 years, I do. I think he's going to have the big gold around his waist sometime.
All right.
Swerve saying it should be him and Keith Lee that are still champs. If it wasn't for Billy Gunn, he challenges Billy Gunn one-on-one next week in Canada when they finally make their Canadian debut. AEW, that is, I'm talking about, when they go to Dynamite. Mark Sterling then appeared after, I should say, that Swerve says Rock always beats scissors. I thought that was pretty clever.
Yes.
And he also said that Billy having kids wearing T-shirts, just like they did 2 decades ago, just what you and Paul were talking about from last week. Kids getting in trouble now with Acclaim references instead of D-Generation X.
Yes. Yes. All right. I got a lot to say before we go any further in this segment.
Go ahead.
This segment, the way they stood, I don't know. You were too young, Tanner, so I don't know if you've ever gone back and watched this. The D-Generation X presidential address where they were no longer allowed to say these words during this time and could only say, I got that feel.
I don't remember watching it live, but I've watched it on the WWE Network and YouTube where they don't censor it.
I got that feel, the way they were positioned, and Billy Gunn had the shirt tied up just right, kind of referencing China and himself in DX, who are celebrating 25 years on Monday on Raw, by the way.
And I can't wait till the crowd starts chanting daddy ass.
Yeah, I want to hear scissor me in the middle of that. Yep. Like when they go, and I've got 2 words for you, I really hope the crowd goes, scissor me.
Yep, WWE's got to try to get smart and try to edit some audio on the fly.
Yeah. But I loved Billy Gunn's reference to DX there, and for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for more. The only thing that would have made it better, he did it a couple weeks ago, was when he said, and I've got 2 words for you, scissor me.
Right.
That if that would have ended the segment, I would have loved every second of it. Yep. I already did, but I did. I got a lot of DX feels, the way they were goofing around, the gift. I feel that was the Acclaimed slapping DX in the face.
Yep. And, some people might view this segment as silliness, and it was a little silly, but as you and I were saying, I thought it was pure fun.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
It was entertaining. That's why we watch this every week, to get entertained.
Yep. And especially if they were trying to poke at DX, it's exactly what DX would have done.
Yep.
So, especially young DX.
To end this segment, Mark Sterling came out and told Swerve paper beats rock, which was pretty funny.
And that was on the fly. He didn't know anything about the rock segment. He just walks out there and he's, oh, by the way, paper beats rock, and keeps going.
He's good at improv.
Yes.
He says that Acclaim needs him to beat Swerve, as they can't do it alone. He wants to represent them, but instead he gets taken out and Bowens drops a scissor on his legs from the top rope. Gunn then accepts Swerve's challenge. And then then they all hit the scissor spot, the bipartisan scissor spot. So,
yeah.
Then backstage, we saw Mass and Rain putting over Sky Blue, but Ty Mello and Anna Jay tell them that they need a sports entertainer coach. Blue claims that she can work on her personality while they work on their wrestling skills, and this leads to a tag match being set up for Friday on Rampage.
Anna J.A.S.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I keep forgetting about that. I just could care less about that.
Put her back in Dark Order. They need a woman again.
I'm over Dark Order, too, to be honest. I know a lot of people aren't, but I kind of...
Okay, I like their backstage stuff. If they could keep them together backstage, but kind of separate them on TV, I'd be fine.
I was really looking forward to Andrade... Preston 10 Vance match,
Well, you knew Preston was losing.
Yeah, and I thought that was going to be fantastic because I want to see him without the mask. I think it'd be good for his character.
We've seen him back when BTE first started incorporating Dark Order.
Right.
But then he started getting more TV time. Brody came in and the mask never came off.
Right. And he could, even if he loses the mask, he could wear the mask to the ring, then take it off for the matches like, Andrade and Roosh do.
Mm-hmm.
So... I don't know. I just think his character needs something. It would elevate him a little bit.
Yeah. So, go ahead. I'll ask you later.
Speaking of Roosh, we had Roosh versus Hangman Adam Page coming out. physical battle, like we thought it would be. Roosh got busted open a little bit in the nose, but there was no doubt who was going to win this match, and that was Hangman Adam Page. Hit the buckshot lariat. After the match, Private Party come out at the order of Jose, but Moxley appears to level the numbers. Private Party backs off. Moxley then says he's been waiting for this moment for 3 years. He studied Hangman because he knew it was coming. He says between them, they've beaten everyone except each other in the company. Moxley says there will be one last man standing after their match here in AEW, which is taking place in Cincinnati in a couple weeks. He says he's got to break Hangman's face and choke him until he's blue because he's in the way of him being the top guy. Moxley says he respects Page and admires him as a person. But when the bell rings, he doesn't respect anything. Page then asks, okay, if you've been waiting for so long, why don't we just do this right now? Mox says he's a sweet kid, and like a lot of people around here, he says stupid things that get him in trouble. There's the shot I was talking about earlier. He tells them in 13 days, he'll see him in 13 days and wishes, or he best watch his mouth. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Butchered that.
It was a good spot. I thought it was perfect. I enjoyed the Moxley stab. I always like a good stab. So,
Yep.
I mean, you know.
MJF was watching backstage with his poker chip. Which, spoiler alert, he's not going to do it till Full Gear.
I got my poker chip.
Yes, you do.
Mine's not as big.
Yeah, I think Full Gear. I think it's Moxley, MJF, Full Gear. I think that's the direction we're going. We then saw Luchasaurus before Luchasaurus, we saw Willow Nightingale shown backstage. She said she's on a roll, wants to challenge Jade for the TBS Championship, a battle for the belts on Friday night. Jade appears and said she's already beaten her twice, and Willow questions if she can do it again. She wonders if instead of being 39-0, she could end up being the 1-38-1. I don't know.
I don't think.
I don't think. I mean, I know Willow's a hot talent right now, but she's not even officially all elite. So
if she comes out all elite between now and Friday, I might buy that she wins. Otherwise, we're going 50-0, and then she'll get beat. She'll be 50-1.
I still think if you're gonna have Jade get beat, it's got to be somebody that's ready. Moving up the ladder fast. And then you got to skyrocket Jade right into the women's title picture right away.
Got to move her straight over.
I feel like the women's titles lost a bunch of prestiges last year.
It has, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against Thunder Rosa. It was timing. She won. She was already injured, and she fought as long as she could.
And I will say though, her feuds were just stale.
Well, that too.
Her and Serena Deeb, the match was great at the pay-per-view, but the build-up was awful. I mean, you remember the mic work was terrible the whole way around, and that was just a lot of her feuds, unfortunately. So,
yeah.
And but I mean, I think we're gonna get Toni Storm versus Thunder once she comes back healthy. Then we'll get that feud to crown the undisputed, not the interim, the undisputed AEW Women's Champion, and then we'll move on to the next challenger. So.
Yeah. Yep. And I think when it comes down to Thunder and Tony, unfortunately, unless something drastic happens between now and then, I think Thunder's going to win it back.
I don't. I think Tony will keep it.
All right.
I don't know. It matters how long, I guess, because I think Tony was going to take it off her to begin with. So
yeah,
we'll see. We then saw Luchasaurus after he squashed Fuego del Sol, who was back in his red and gold attire, not his all black attire.
Fuego.
Yeah, he tried to go right as Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus chokeslammed him and followed it with the cutthroat for a simple win. After the match, Luchasaurus looked to throw him out of the ring at Christian's command, but Jungle Boy appeared, attacked him with a chair, and sent him out to the floor. Christian was holding him back. Jungle Boy then says that Luchasaurus was his best friend, and after everything, he chose Christian and broke his heart. But now he's going to break Luchasaurus' fingers, his arm, and piece by piece until he breaks him. He tells him to pick the time and the place. Jungle Boy will be ready. Christian then reminds him that he said not to come back this week. It would be easy for them to come in and drop him and leave him in a puddle of piss and blood. But Jungle Boy has got him thinking that it won't be happening tonight. Not in Washington, D.C. It'll be next Wednesday in his hometown of Toronto, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So Luchasaurus and Jungle, I'm calling him Jungle Jack Perry.
I am too.
Even though they want to call him Jungle Boy, then Jack Perry. Jungle Jack Perry, Luchasaurus next week in Toronto. That should be fun.
Jack Perry. I would just drop Jungle and Boy altogether because I think, honestly, you get this feud going on. You have either Christian or Luchasaurus put him out on injury, come back with the Jungle Boy music, but come out as Jack Perry. Maybe trim the hair up a little bit, different attire, and just drop Jungle Boy altogether.
Yep. Nope.
And then say, and going forward, I won't have this music anymore. Debut new music as he leaves the ring.
Yep.
So people know what to cheer for when he comes out next time.
Yeah, I'd be all for it. We then got a main event tonight. Tonight's show was an overrun to 10:15 p.m. Eastern time, which was announced before.
Extended.
So it was a 2 hour and 15-minute Dynamite instead of a 2 hour Dynamite tonight. That's why we're on extended. That's why we're on a little late tonight.
And technical difficulties.
Yeah, that too. What's a podcast without those anymore? The main event saw Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia versus Chris Jericho, the Ocho, and Sammy Guevara, to the crowd's displeasure. Jericho and Garcia shook hands early, but Jericho then took him down. But then Garcia took control with his mat-based wrestling skills, then slaps his head before wiping his boots at him. Jericho came back with a big chop to the chest, and they had a chop fest, just missing a woo now and then. Sammy Guevara tripped Garcia out of the ring. Big F you Sammy chants going on. He was getting booed throughout the match.
You still suck.
You still suck after an impressive acrobatic flippity flip outside the ring. I'm just going to call it that.
Flippity flip.
I thought Bryan Danielson, this was the first match in a long time. I wasn't nervous watching Bryan Danielson wrestle. Usually I'm very uncomfortable waiting for him to get hurt, but the only spot I was nervous was the tope suicida, and he hit it perfectly, landed on his feet. After that, I was good to go.
That table spot kind of got
back.
me.
At least it wasn't his neck or head. That's what always.
I know, but I think that was on the fly because I think he was supposed to fall through it, hit it just right. That only took out a chunk. You could see that come out, and he hit the ROH title.
Right.
So I think they just immediately said suplex table now.
Yep. Towards the end of the match, Guevara was going to the top for a shooting star press, but it got countered by Garcia. He locked in the Dragon Tamer, but Aubrey Edwards wasn't looking. Jericho used the ROH World title to strike Garcia in the head, and Guevara picks up the win. Twitter was not happy about this at all.
That was, in my opinion, the worst part of the match, and it's not even the win. It was leading up to it because Garcia had to move closer because he didn't get Guevara where he thought he was going to get him, so he had to move closer. I knew right then he was going to get hit. Mm-hmm. He was looking around.
Telegraphed it.
He moved him. If he would have done it differently, made Jericho reach in a little further to get him, it would have been fine, but him moving everybody, and then Aubrey looked at him as he moved him, then back down as Jericho hit him. She should have seen it.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the result of the match.
Neither did I.
With Jericho and Sammy going over for storyline purposes. I wish Jericho would have got the pin, though, instead of Sammy getting the pin, just from everything that transpired earlier today. But I did like the final closing shot where Garcia's kind of has his hand on his head, and his whole faction's all celebrating up there. So it's kind of like he's back to being a pro wrestler now, not a sports entertainer, and he's thinking, "Did I screw up?"
Yep.
So I thought that was really good. I thought tonight's show was solid again. I think ever since All Out, what was the name I was calling it the other day? Brawl Out. Ever since that, I mean, I think they've got their shows going, but they just got to get rid of this backstage drama. And I don't want to act like every single promotion has stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely.
But
absolutely.
Just, for whatever reason, AEW lets it leak out pretty easily.
Yep.
So.
And, I mean, this is something that's not even just the big companies like AEW, WWE, New Japan. This happens even on the indies.
Yes, you've seen it in promotions you've been involved with. So
yep. Just heard of one from our last incident. So
It's
It
unfortunately it's part of
happens.
the business. It's part of
Yeah.
the business, but Tony's got to tighten the screws while he can a little bit.
Yep.
Before we get into our rating of the night and wrestler of the night, I do have a question for you, but I also want to know what questions you had for me because you've been hyping some up tonight. So I want to know what you got.
All right, go ahead.
My question for you, this is the 3-year anniversary of Dynamite. What's your favorite match in the 3 years of Dynamite?
Man, that's rough. There's been a lot of good ones, but I'm going to take the easy way out tonight. I'm going to go Cody and Sammy, the first match ever.
Okay. Oh, no, that's not one I thought you would say. So,
I mean, you got to give respect's due. They had the first ever AEW Dynamite match.
They did.
So, if it wasn't for that
Cody came up
match,
to Cody Vader with Brandy, and the crowd went wild in the Verizon Center.
Yep. And now Hobbs does it.
Yes, he does.
And Cody doesn't. No, Cody still has the Cody Vader in WWE, doesn't he?
No.
No.
Well,
Just at Mania.
Yeah, just the main, and then it was like botched the next night. It wasn't working properly, or the camera screwed up. So last we saw him, touring back, he just walks out, and then there's a pyro when he walks out. It's like a big explosion, and he kind of walks out.
So Goldberg's pyros.
Kind of, yeah, not sparkler like, but yeah. Yeah. I would say my favorite Dynamite match also features Cody. It's Cody and Wardlow, February before Revolution 2020, before COVID hit. In Atlanta, he doing the somersault off the cage.
Oh man,
moonsault off the cage.
Moonsault off the cage.
Bloody, broke his toe, his big toe, and then he got up on the cage. MJF's looking in fear. I just thought that was fun.
The dude never looked back. He had so much faith that Wardlow would catch him no matter what, that he just climbed to the top and just.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many good ones. I mean,
there are
good tag matches.
That's just straight Dynamites we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, if we go into pay-per-views, we could any pay-per-view match that doesn't involve barbed wire death matches. With ring
was a
explosions.
Good match. It just was the ending was just god awful.
Yes. So
okay, but now since you brought that up, now I'm curious. I just want to pick your brain. What's your favorite all-time AEW pay-per-view match?
Oh man, you had to do that. You
you
know how many
brought it up.
matches I've got to rack my brain now.
I know I'm putting you on the spot. I know mine off the top of my head.
All right, go ahead.
Revolution 2020, Hangman Page and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks. Best tag team match I've ever seen.
I can get behind that. I'm gonna mark out for a minute. And I'm gonna go Punk MJF dog collar match.
Good one. Yep.
A lot more blood than I anticipated, and even MJF's fiance really liked that match, being that she painted Punk.
Yes. Yeah.
I bet that just irritated him. I bet he's going, we're not hanging that in our house.
Yep. If I had to go singles match, I'd go back to where it all began, Double or Nothing, 2019, Dustin Cody. The motion of that match was awesome.
Oh, man, that was great.
That, it kind of lit a fire inside me as a wrestling fan that I hadn't felt in a long time.
Okay, so do we go even further back and count All In then?
It could, in a way.
I mean, that had some pretty good matches on it as well.
Sure did. No, talent all across the board.
But yeah, I like our choices. I'm gonna have to put it. I think we need to put together our top 5.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good, and I would be curious to see Shep's too. So
yeah,
lists are good. I know we're getting off a little tangent here, but I saw a good list on the article Wrestling Inc. Yeah, they list the top 35 best entrance themes of all time.
Ooh,
that was pretty cool. That was
of
cool.
all time, man. That is rough.
They had Judas number 1.
Ooh, I would not. And that's nothing against Jericho. That's nothing against Fozzy. I have a few other ones that are a little higher on there.
They're all yours are probably on the list, to be honest.
Probably. I'd say in my top 3 is going to be Dusty's theme song.
That wasn't on top 135.
Haha! See, I got one.
Yep.
Haha!
Yep.
I just I don't know. I've always liked that theme.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like a Real American was on the list, but it was like 29 or 30. I thought it'd be higher than that. So, yep.
Degeneration X would be in my top 5.
Yeah, that was on there somewhere. I don't remember where. That was on there somewhere.
Cody's makes the top 10.
I don't think his was on there, but I do like that one. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Some lists. Now we've got homework to do. Thanks.
Lists are fun.
I thought we were done with homework.
Lists are fun. No,
they are.
Homework's everywhere in life, Paul.
Yeah, I know. You keep sending me homework for everything I do.
That's what I do.
All right. So my first question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Big swerve on how this match was handled. We went from a career versus mask to a trios match. And then we brought in the fact that it's the anniversary of Brody's last match. Mm-hmm. Do we see Dark Order pick up the trios belts just for a couple weeks to honor him?
It would be a great story, but I'm going to go with no.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I think they just did that to make more sense for Friday's match, since they had to throw it together instead of a lot of fans complain, oh, here he goes again, just throwing matches together. It kind of gave it a backstory. It will be interesting to see Pac wrestle twice Friday night.
Yeah, he's going to get done with the trios and then go defend on Battle of the Belts against Trent.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Who do you think wins that one?
Pac.
Oh, of course. He ain't dropping any gold anytime soon.
No.
I think they're going to hold the trios until the Bucks come back. Or the Elite.
That'll be interesting. Yeah. That'll be interesting. I don't know if you should reward them right away with it or give it some time. I don't know. We'll see.
No, I think that's when you really focus on the trios. I mean, you defend them, you have them from time to time, but you had a big storyline set up for the guys who've now been kicked out. So make them work their way back up, and let's get back to that story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, not kicked out, but suspended.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'd like to know, too, maybe, when they do eventually come back, will they still have EVP status, or is that going to get revoked? Or do they go just being talent?
Stealing my questions now. Part of it. So this might be a little bit of a rabbit hole. Okay. If they take EVP from the Elite, you don't have any EVPs left anymore. Who do you put in their place?
Well, you got the likes of William Regal, Arn Anderson.
Is Arn still in the company?
I think he is. I just don't think he really gets used.
He was with Cody,
I know, and he does some stuff with his son once in a while.
Yeah.
You got a lot of good, talented coaches backstage, male and female. Maybe some of them. That's a good question, though. Well, that's one I haven't put a lot of thought into.
And do you build back up to 4 where it was? Or do you just stick with 1 or 2?
Well, and Jericho's kind of always almost been the EVP. He just never wanted that title.
Right.
They want all that responsibility, but he's, Jericho, Danielson, Moxley, they're your locker room leaders.
Yep.
I don't think any of those guys fit an EVP billing, but
no.
They're your locker room leaders. And I think that's what ticked off a lot of talent probably backstage today was the exact things that they were talking about before Grand Slam transpired today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So keep your issues in-house.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Just talk it out. Don't beef it out. Don't take it to social media.
Right.
That's never a good thing. Never take it to social media.
Nope.
All right. My final question before we get into our predictions here. Do we see any belts change hands Friday night? If so, what do you think will change?
So we got the trios, the women's, and the All Atlantic, right?
I think we got TBS too, don't we?
What did I say? Well, did I say I said women's instead of TBS? Didn't
yeah,
I?
And
I
then
meant TBS.
Is TNT on the line too, or no?
I don't believe so, because Wardlow's in that tag match.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I don't think we see any change hands. If we do, though, the one I see changing hands more likely than the other two is the TBS. Yeah, I don't see it changing hands.
No, not yet. Like I said, if Willow becomes all elite between now and Friday, I'll might be 50-50 for me.
Yep.
Right now, Jade's not losing.
Yep.
And I think if you're going to do this the right way, you've rewarded Sheeta when she hit 50 wins. Let Jade hit 50 wins, maybe hit 55, and then hand her first loss.
Yeah. It'll be interesting
Really
to see how
build
they handle
her.
that. Yep.
And then she can enter into the Women's World Championship picture and say, look, I'm the only one with 55 consecutive wins. I am only lost once in this company. I deserve a shot at that belt.
I almost want to see her carry 2 titles around or kind of unify them for a bit. Just be dominant. Something we've never really seen a woman do in professional wrestling.
This is true. China.
Until they made her go against the guys.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, I could almost get behind that. I don't know. I got Jade fatigue bad. So
well, I just feel like she's never used anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, we got so much of her.
It's the same backstage segment all the time.
It is. Oh, you think you can do that to baddies, and I will stop you.
Exactly. And I don't know. I'm still
the
wondering
baddies lose.
where talent like Miro is. We haven't seen him forever. I don't know. There's so much talent. I don't know.
I think everything's going to start working itself out in the laundry here pretty quickly.
Yep. It's going to have to.
Yeah. With more and more references to ROH here lately, I think I kind of talked to Shep about this, and you disagreed with our choice. But I think we're close to a TV deal, and I think you bring somebody in to run ROH and let TK just be the overall. I approve of that.
But will Tony do that? I mean, he could have done that a lot with AEW, and he doesn't want. He wants control of everything. That's how he is. The guy gets no sleep. He works with the Jaguars and Fulham and AEW. I don't know how he does it.
I know. I mean, look at him. He sits at media scrums afterwards. Wait, you just slaughtered my EVPs?
Yeah. I'm just gonna nod and can't believe what's going on.
I should have said no comment when that was originally asked. That's my fault. And the dude's just so wide-eyed. I can't even get my eyes that wide. I think he lives on caffeine.
And I am tired of talking about that all-out situation afterwards. But one thing I was thinking about the other day that I haven't really heard anybody address is. In Punk, I'm not giving him any excuse for anything he did. I mean, I still can't believe all he said and how he did it and everything, the way he went about it. I wonder if he knew that his tricep injury was serious right away and said, screw it. I'm going to be out for 6 to 8 months anyways. I'm going out with a bang.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't heard anybody talk about that because obviously he knew he was hurt.
Right. I mean, it's the scrum starts like somebody asked him a question.
Yeah. He attacked Nick Hausman of Wrestling Inc. right away, and Nick didn't even really say anything.
No, nobody said a word about, hey, how do you feel about Colt Cabana?
He had it planned.
He just, somebody who he knew had covered the situation with him and Colt before. So he said, I can use this guy. I can attack this guy. I can get sent home. I'm going to be suspended, but my suspension is not going to last as long as my injury is going to take to heal. So screw it.
Yep.
Modern day pipe bomb.
And he had to know with what he said there was going to be a fight backstage.
Absolutely. He knew the Bucks were going to come talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course, he says he swung because he knew they were going to. Is that true? I don't know. Will we ever know? Maybe when they write a book about it in 20 years.
Dark Side of the Ring, eventually. Yep.
Then just all of a sudden.
It'd be a good one. Yep.
Well, yeah, we've already put a parody together of that within days, and it was hilarious. Yep. So I can only imagine what an actual Dark Side of the Ring episode will be like.
Yep. Be awesome. be awesome. No, there's gonna be a good book written one day about a lot of things that have gone down AEW in the early years. It's
Yeah.
gonna be fascinating.
Yeah. Okay, I lied. One more question.
Okay.
So Shep and I talked about it last week. You were suspended last week for your actions.
I listened to what you guys said, though. Trust me.
Yeah. Your thoughts if TK decided to bring somebody in? You obviously don't think it'll be a villain.
Marty's not coming back.
Who would you put to run ROH, to book ROH, to help ROH take off?
Well, gosh, I almost want to say Regal.
See, I agree with that. The more I thought about it, yes, my reaction last week was Marty, and it's just ironic I'm wearing that shirt today. I just grabbed a shirt this morning.
That was a good looking shirt.
Yes, it is. I like my villain merch. But yeah, I Marty, yeah, he's a good booker. He'd be a good help. He's never going to wrestle for ROH. Because America's never going to get over what he did. Even he can be cleared. The courts can come out and say he's cleared. The girl who accused him of it could come out and say, "Look, all right, I was drunk. I was looking for my 15 minutes of fame."
Pretty well in this book. By the way.
All right.
Yep.
But I mean, everything could clear him of no wrongdoing, and America will not get over it. But yeah, I think you need someone like Regal, who's done ROH style wrestling his whole life, except in WWE.
Maybe
in a sense, still.
Maybe CD, but CD's head of talent relations right now in AEW, and he's catching some flack right now. So, I mean,
but he's suspended too.
Well, I think he's back now. I think he's back.
Okay.
Cutler's back, and Pat Buck, I believe, is back.
Oh.
So I think the only ones are the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Ace Steel, and CM Punk are the five.
And I haven't even heard anything official on those two.
No.
It's never been officially stated.
I think they're waiting for legal stuff to get smoothed over before.
Yeah.
Anything else.
Yeah.
Could take a while.
Yeah, Punk will be cleared to wrestle again before that's all solved at that rate.
Okay. All right. One more question about me, and then we'll start wrapping things up because we're getting late. As of right now, October 5th, 2022, does CM Punk ever wrestle in AEW again?
I knew you were going to ask me this at one point because I've seen this same question circling the internet a lot. The surgery went fine, by the way. I've seen pictures of him in the cast. I don't know. I mean, if you bring him back in, you can't book him the way you were.
Never put the title on him again. I can
No,
that much,
no, he's had it twice now.
For like 6 days.
Yeah, combined.
Yeah.
In 2 reigns.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't put any gold on him. Maybe the Dynamite Diamond, just because that's never defended.
He would look weird with that.
Well, yeah, it's designed for a guy like MJF, which is why he always wins it. Notice we didn't have a Dynamite Diamond match this year. Or did we? Was that early this year? Or was it last year? That he got the new design.
He beat Dante Martin.
Okay. All right. So next year we'll see if we get a new diamond or if that just goes away.
Yeah.
So,
I will say no. I will say no, and it's too bad.
Yeah.
His 1 year run was after a 7-year hiatus from the pro wrestling world was fun. It was great. Could have been even better. But if I had to choose right now, yes or no, just with how things are going and what's kind of been revealed, I will say no.
If I got to go right here, right now, tonight at 11:35 p.m., no, he will not. When he's medically cleared, maybe that'll be a different story. Maybe some things will start to cool down. Some things will get worked out. Maybe he'll come out and say, look, I did that intentionally to go out with a bang. I needed a new pipe bomb, and that was it. Colt Cabana got brought up in my last one, and or my first one, and now my last one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows?
Messy situation.
I am glad I do not work for AEW. As much as I would love to work for AEW, I am glad I do not.
Yeah, it'd be
I will
interesting
say
right now.
that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rating for tonight's show, Paul.
All right. Well, you're gonna let me go first this week, which is nice because I need to stop letting Shep go first because he always steals my stuff. I was really impressed with the show from start to finish. There wasn't really a time where I went, I don't really want to watch this.
Move fast.
It moved fast, especially for being 2 hours and 15 minutes. I will throw that out there. I'm giving it an 8.7.
Oh, wow. That's one of the higher grades
I
you've ever
think
given a show.
it might be my highest or second highest at least.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go into 8s. I'm going to go 8.2. 8.2 this week.
All right.
I don't really have much to complain about, so I don't really know why I'm not giving a higher grade, but
because you're trying to be modest.
A little bit.
Trying not to mark out.
A little bit.
I mean, the mark answer would be, I'll give it a 9.5.
Well, you know, one of my critiques usually is the lack of women's matches or women's segments. Got plenty tonight.
Yeah. And it was a longer match than they normally get. And some of the segments were a little longer, too. So normally it's like, all right, you got 30 seconds, go.
And, you know, I would usually complain about the length of a segment, for instance, like the National Scissoring Day, but it was entertaining the whole time, so I had no problem with it.
Yes. Scissor me, daddy ass. I told my kids the story of how they can't say that at school. My eldest daughter, I immediately said, scissor me, daddy ass. And she went, you can't say that. And I went, what, ass? She goes, no, the other thing. I went, oh, so you know.
Yeah, that's trouble there, Dad.
Yeah. But they know, careful saying that. And then they knew that, or they know that when I was in school, I couldn't tell everybody to suck it.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks, Billy.
Yeah. Thanks, Billy. Getting kids suspended in 2 different decades. Only daddy ass. All right. Wrestler of the night, Tanner.
I'm doing something I don't do very often. I'm going with a loser. Somebody who this person's not a loser, but they lost their match. Brian Cage, he impressed me tonight. I mean, I didn't have high hopes for that match. I mean, I've always liked his in-ring work, but you know how everything transpired over the past year. I'm like, he's just got to leave the company. But then they decided to pick up his 1-year option, kept around, got to use him with some ROH, but just get him back on national television. Showed off his athleticism with another freak of an athlete, Wardlow. Very fun match.
It was. I am not going to pick a match loser tonight, and I'm picking Willow Nightingale.
I like it.
She showed why she deserves to be in the company tonight, and part of me almost feels like Tony wanted to see what the fans thought of her before he signed her, so put her over. And I think that was a great way to do it. And I cannot wait for the announcement that Willow is now All Elite.
Yep. Give us the graphic, Tony. Give us the graphic.
Yep. That I was thinking graphic. I couldn't think of the word for a minute.
It's all right. It's late.
It is. Stupid extended show. Stupid airplane.
Stupid everything.
Stupid airport. Losing my bag. I mean, delayed flight. I mean, technical issues.
Oh, why don't you wrap us up, Paul?
All right. Yes, it is late. We are calling it a quit for the night. So be sure to follow Kicking Out Podcast on all social media at Kicking Out Pod. Be sure to be paying attention to our YouTube channel as we've got the interview that Tanner did last night dropping later this week. Go ahead and plug that again real quick, Tanner.
Yes, that was with New York Times bestselling author Keith Elliott Greenberg on his latest book that just came out this week, Follow the Buzzards, Pro Wrestling in the Age of COVID-19. Talks about that weird time that we all remember with empty arenas of wrestling, but it's good to look back on, and really it refreshed my memory on some things I'd forgotten about. So if you like wrestling, definitely get this book. They talk about all sorts of promotions.
And I'm sure Keith will talk a lot about the book and a lot of inside stuff that you probably weren't aware of in the wrestling business before you two talked.
Right. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. We talked for about an hour. So. Yep.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that. I know I will be following the Kicking Out Podcast YouTube. Just search Kicking Out Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Follow us on social media at Kicking Out Pod. Be sure to listen to the Kicking Out Podcast wherever it is you listen to your podcast. And if it happens to be Apple Podcast, give us that 5-star rating. We want to be 5-star KOP, and you can help us do that by giving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast. Hey, don't forget to check out the KOP merchandise store on all of our social media homepages. Tanner's got a KOP shirt on tonight, kind of the NWO influenced.
Wolfpack.
I'm wearing Villain, so I can't really promote that one. I'm not going to plug his store because he's not paying me to do it.
Fair. No free ads.
No free ads for Marty Skrull. Villain Enterprises. But be sure to follow Tanner Lee on social media at Tanner Lee 92. Follow myself at Paul Zartman 921. Follow Austin Shepard too at the Shep 27, and you gotta be sure to keep following us to see if and when Tanner ever defends that KOP Predictions Championship. How fast he loses it.
Full gear.
That's why he's not defended it yet, because he knows he got lucky. This is twice he's held that belt, and we'll see if he makes it longer this time than he did last time.
Full gear.
You made it one pay-per-view last time. Can you make it past one pay-per-view this time?
I'm hopeful.
All right, I might have to.
Question is it a one-on-one or is it triple threat?
You know what? I'll let you guys battle it out, but you never know. Maybe it will be. I got a poker chip. Maybe I'll cash it in.
Hey, more the merrier. I'm ready to keep this baby for a long time.
All right. With that being said, for Tanner Lee, I'm Paul Zartman. Join us again next week as we kick out yet another podcast.